These two guys were seriously twisted. They pretended to be a woman to mess with someone over the radio.
Hey, Black Sheep, this is Candy Cane. I've been looking for you all day.
And sure enough, the guy fell for it.
Roger that, Candy Cane.
Paul started bragging about his looks again.
So I'm 5'10". I got dirty blonde hair down to my shoulders. I got blue eyes, really soft skin.
Man, this is turning me on.
I guess it takes a man to know a man. With his brother backing him up shamelessly, Paul kept chatting with the stranger over the radio, drawing him in until the guy was dying to meet up in person. The two brothers cracked up in the car, with no clue that some pranks, once they go too far, can cost you your life. That night, the two pulled into a motel to crash. While Fuller was checking in, he got into it with a hot-headed bruiser, but he was too chicken to fight back and slunk back to the car to think things over. He told Paul to keep stringing the mystery guy along on the radio and lure him to room 17, because that was the big guy's room.
This is awesome!
The brothers planned to hide next door and watch the show. Late that night, they heard a truck pull up out back. Fuller went to the window and saw a tall figure in a raincoat walk slowly past. The mystery man had actually shown up. The brothers pressed against the wall and listened. First came shouting and the sounds of a scuffle, then a heavy thud, and after that, dead silence. Was the mystery man gone? The next day, the cops came knocking. They said there'd been a brutal assault the night before, and the victim was the big guy from room 17. They wanted to know if the brothers had seen anything. Confused, the brothers followed the police to the hospital ICU, and Fuller froze at what he saw. The guy's jaw had been ripped clean off, and he was barely hanging on. It was hard to imagine the kind of strength, or the kind of sick mind, it would take to do something that brutal. After leaving the hospital, the brothers got in the car and hauled ass out of town. That night, the familiar voice came through the radio again.
Hey, Candy Cane. Anybody out there know Candy Cane?
Paul finally cracked under the pressure and came clean. He was a guy, and the whole thing had just been a joke. The mystery man went quiet for a moment, then asked for one thing, an apology. But Fuller wouldn't back down. He shot back, "There's no way a freak like you could ever find us, so why the hell should we apologize?" Fuller got more and more worked up, his voice rising. But the mystery man stayed cool and just said one line.
You really ought to get that fixed.
Get what fixed?
Your tail light.
Turns out, he'd been tailing them the whole time and had figured out from the start that they were the ones pranking him. Fuller, the big online tough guy, had been caught red-handed. To make matters worse, the car was almost out of gas. Luckily, a side road appeared up ahead. Paul jerked the wheel hard, ditched the hulking truck, and coasted into a gas station on fumes. Fuller stayed outside to pump the gas while Paul went inside to call the cops. Right then, an ice delivery truck pulled up nearby. A mystery man got out, gripping a metal pipe, and walked straight into the store. Fuller spotted him and quickly signaled Paul. Paul turned around and realized the guy was already standing right behind him. Playing it cool, he hung up the phone like nothing was wrong, paid at the register, walked out, jumped in the car, and floored it out of there. But the truck came after them again. Panicking, Paul swerved off the main road onto a back road, only to find their way blocked by a fence. Just when they thought they were done for, the guy simply tapped on the window and handed them a debit card. Turns out Paul had left it at the store, and the guy wasn't some psycho at all. He was just a good Samaritan who'd chased them down to return it. The brothers realized they'd blown the whole thing out of proportion and finally started to relax a little. But just as the good Samaritan was backing up to leave, Fuller heard something off in the distance. Before they could react, a huge truck came barreling out of nowhere and plowed straight through the ice truck. The real psycho was here. The two fired up the engine, crashed through the fence, and tried to make a run for it, but the truck stayed right on their tail. Paul kept stomping on the gas, pushing so hard that pieces of the tires went flying. They finally screeched to a stop next to a tree. The car wrecked and undrivable. The truck crept closer, slowly pinning them against the tree trunk. As the windows shattered one by one and the car was nearly crushed flat, with their lives on the line, Fuller grabbed the radio and frantically tried to explain. It was all just a joke, a misunderstanding. To their shock, the guy actually stopped. He left them with a few words.
Well, I was just playing with you, man.
Then slowly backed away and let them go. They figured that was the end of it, but it was far from over. After getting the car fixed, the brothers decided to bury the whole thing and never speak of it again. They drove to another town and picked up a pretty girl named Mary along the way. She was a childhood friend catching a ride home with them. That night, Paul was wiped out and turned in early, while his brother knocked on Mary's door with 2 drinks, hoping to have a nice dinner with her. Right then, Paul got jolted awake by a phone call.
You said there was no girl.
The voice on the other end was the psycho. He'd been tracking them the whole time. Paul bolted into Mary's room, no time to explain, and pulled Fuller and a totally confused Mary out the door. As they fled, the radio in the car came alive again. The voice told them coldly that there was no escape. Every joke had a price. He forced the brothers to strip down in public and walk into a fast food joint in front of everyone. Then, that night, he led them out into a sorghum field and toyed with them like prey. While they were distracted, he grabbed Mary and torched their car. Then the psycho came back on the radio with a warning. If they wanted Mary alive, they had to get to room 17 at a motel in town by midnight. 1 second late, and Mary was dead. The brothers stole a car and raced into town, but the psycho hadn't said which motel, so they had to check everyone. Meanwhile, the psycho had tied Mary to a chair and set up a shotgun pointed right at her. He'd taped the doorknob to the trigger. The second anyone pushed the door open, Mary would take the shot. Just then, the brothers finally made it. They turned the lock, pushed the door open, and nothing happened. Mary wasn't in this room. She was in the one next door. The phone in the room suddenly rang. It was the psycho. He was pressed up against the wall, talking to them through it, and he sneered, "Isn't this exactly how you guys watched my show?" Paul kept him talking to buy time, quietly signaling Fuller to slip around back and find out where Mary was. Fuller climbed onto a paint can to peek through the window, but the psycho lunged out of the shadows, smashed the glass, and grabbed him. In that split second, Fuller caught a glimpse of just how hopeless Mary's situation was. Just as Paul reached for the door, the lock pulled the tape and started tightening on the trigger, about to fire straight into Mary. Then Fuller broke free with everything he had.
Don't open the door! Don't open the door! Don't open the door!
Mary was spared for the moment, but Fuller was in serious trouble. A steel pipe went straight through his thigh, and the psycho came at him in a rage. When Paul got there, he found Fuller hanging from the fence, his leg pinned by the pipe and totally stuck. It took everything Paul had to get him down. Right then, there was urgent pounding on the door outside. The cops chasing the psycho were going room by room and were closing in on Mary's door. Paul had no choice. He had to leave Fuller and run to save Mary. Just as he got her out of harm's way, Fuller was in danger again. The psycho was driving the truck straight at him. Paul rushed in to save him one more time, and the cops came charging out right behind, unloading on the truck. But the truck didn't slow down at all and plowed right into the motel. When the dust settled, the psycho was dead in the cab. Was it really over? Paul asked the cops who the psycho actually was, and they said he was a delivery driver for an ice company.
Ice company.
That's when something hit them. Wasn't that Good Samaritan who returned Paul's debit card the one driving the ice truck? Right at that moment, the radio in the ambulance crackled to life.
Forward to the storm.
The voice was unmistakable. The real psycho had set up an innocent guy to take the fall. Their nightmare was far from over.